Okay, so here,
It is visible to all of you, right?
is it visible to everyone?
Guys?
Yes.
Okay, so now we are talking about one example wherein we can use Clausius-Clapeyron equation. So by this example, it will be clear to you what is the higher level application of such equation. Okay. So you can you know that there are lots of applications of thin films, like in light emitting diodes, in solar cells, on our spectacle glasses also there are anti-reflection coatings deposited, right? So in some of the applications we need to deposit metal thin films. Metal thin films means chromium, titanium, molybdenum, or some kind of semiconductor thin films also deposited by vacuum thermal evaporation. The meaning of it is heating the material under vacuum conditions to high temperature till its boiling point, wherein it evaporates inside the vacuum chamber and gets deposited inside the chamber on some of the materials or substrates wherein we want it. Okay. In all such cases, it is important to know that before the material comes in vapor form, it must come in molten form, or we must melt it if we want to achieve a vapor pressure of greater than 10⁻³ torr. Some of the materials may give us this vapor pressure without going in liquid state. That is called sublimation. They may directly come from solid state and they become vapor, and they give us high vapor pressure of 10⁻³ torr, wherein their deposition is possible. But most of the elements or metals will first become liquid and then they will come in vapor form to create a pressure of 10⁻³ torr, which is required for their deposition. Okay, is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So in the first mode, most metals does not achieve a vapor pressure of greater than -3 torr at its melting point, and the deposition is obtained only when the source is molten. Source is first brought in molten state and then in vapor state. But there are some other elements like the examples given here, chromium, titanium, etc. At 500 degrees Celsius, the vapor pressure will be -2 torr.
Right.
500 degrees Celsius less than its melting point. Okay, if its melting point is say 1100 degrees Celsius, then at 700 degrees Celsius itself their vapor pressure will be higher. So they will not melt inside the vacuum chamber, but they will sublime and they will create a higher vapor pressure which is required for their deposition. Now in such cases, what we are interested in, if we know the enthalpy of phase change from molten state to vapor state or from solid state to vapor state, the enthalpy, if it is known to us, we can pre-calculate how much energy is required to deposit thin film of this material.
Right.
Clear? So we need to refer some of the experimental data to calculate that, the value of enthalpy. In order to do that, we need to use Clausius-Clapeyron equation, which we have derived just now. Go to the next slide. Now, if that is known to us, that energy which we are supplying, and we know the method by which we are supplying, generally it is supplied by heating a coil, resistive coil. Okay, so that means the energy lost in resistive coil in terms of heating is I square R in terms of current. What current is flowing into the material, what is the resistance of the material, we can calculate heat generated is equal to I square R if that is the heat generated, now we can use MC delta T to find out the change in temperature from that heat, and we can tell we can achieve this much temperature for the coil, and we can start evaporation of this material for this particular temperature. So what is required, and also we will also able to calculate that what is the pressure, from where the pressure devices which are kept in the vacuum system, they will tell us the pressure at that temperature. So Clausius-Clapeyron equation we can use to find out solid vapor or solid liquid phase transition, and pressure temperature data can be used, volume change at given temperature from the listed data can be used, and we can find out the enthalpy, change in enthalpy. That is the purpose of this slide. Now go to the next one. I told you that we will discuss one more way to find out, to derive Clausius-Clapeyron equation, right? Whenever there is a phase change, then for a particular temperature, there will be a particular pressure. That means we can draw a line which is for a set of temperature and pressure for given material, and for that line the value of Gibbs free energy will be constant. The figure drawn in this slide on the right hand side, you can check here. Gibbs free energy of state 1 is equal to Gibbs free energy of state 2 for all values of temperature and pressure, but it keep on increasing. With increase in temperature, pressure will increase.
Sir,
And one is stand. Yes.
please repeat why is the Gibbs free energy value the same at all temperatures and pressures?
Actually, this is the condition of equilibrium. You might have studied equilibrium conditions. Under equilibrium. Huh? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So this is a condition of equilibrium wherein one is representing one phase and 2 is representing another phase.
Okay, right.
So Gibbs free energy is less than Gibbs free energy for phase 1 is less than phase 2 for one side of this curve, and for another side of this curve, Gibbs free energy of 1 is greater than Gibbs free energy of 2. Only on this curve, Gibbs free energy is same. This curve is equilibrium condition.
Right.
Okay. Now, if Gibbs free energy is constant, that means change in Gibbs free energy is 0. So, using this condition, we can derive the same equation which we derived previously. Like if we are writing for temperature T, the pressure is P. Then for temperature T plus dt, the pressure is P plus dt, P plus dP. And also Gibbs free energy should become
G plus dG.
G1 plus dG1. That is for position A and position B, right?
Yes.
G1 plus dG1 is equal to G2 plus dG2, and that will be giving you change in Gibbs free energy for 2 is equal to change in Gibbs free energy for 1.
Yes.
That is equation number 2 in this slide. But you have already studied thermodynamic potential function in the previous lecture, wherein Gibbs free energy was related to entropy, temperature, volume and pressure. That is equation number 3. If you are using equation number 3, in equation number 2, you can write the last equation of this slide.
Minus S2 dt plus V2 dP is minus S2 dt. Yeah, okay. Right.
Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Guys.
Now go to the next slide and rearrange the terms here. Just go to the next slide. the same equation is written here as first equation of this slide, and after rearranging we can write dp by dt is equal to delta S upon delta V, and delta S is equal to delta H upon T.
Right.
So we can substitute that here and we get the Clapeyron equation, right?
Yes, sir.
Any doubts?
So this is the higher approach, means higher level approach that we
Higher level approach.
No, no,
Example we discussed.
it is quite simple approach. Only the example which I am giving of phase transition in vacuum chamber while depositing metal materials is a higher level problem.
That example we
Okay, so
discussed
from
about the different
this
metals.
is derived.
No,
No,
This will be
separate thing.
this will be used for metal deposition. I will tell you after few slides. I think it will be clear.
Acha, okay.
Okay. This approach is not higher level approach. This is another approach to derive the same equation. Okay.
Okay.
Higher level example is the one where I told you to deposit thin films of metal by. Yes. What is the doubt?
Asit was saying.
No, not doubt. I was just saying that this is a graphical approach, right?
This is a graphical approach. Yes, you can say that.
Using Gibbs energy, free energy to derive this. Initially, we used
Correct.
pressure and volume to derive.
There we have used Maxwell's third equation directly, and here we have started from Gibbs equation.
Yes.
This is a more fundamental approach.
Clear? Right. Now you go to the next slide. So in this one, for equilibrium condition between liquid and solid phases of pure substances, what we can write, delta H we can write if it is liquid and solid. Then it is called heat of fusion.
Right.
Okay. From solid to liquid, the phase change energy or latent heat is called heat of fusion. Okay. So in place of delta H, it is delta HF written in equation number 7.
Yes.
But if it is from liquid to gas,
Evaporation.
then it is called heat of evaporation. So in place of delta H, it is delta H E is written here in equation number 8.
Yes.
So if it is from solid to liquid, volume change of liquid to solid will be involved. In denominator, VL minus VS is used for equation number 7. If it is from liquid to vapor, then the volume change of V vapor minus VL is used in equation number 8. So if you are talking about sublimation, then none of these two equations are used, right?
Then we will have to use Clausius-Clapeyron equation.
Yes. So that is done in the next slide. Go to the next slide. So here it is actually, yes, this work we had done in the previous slide. When vapor volume is much greater than liquid volume, we can further solve this problem and bring it in this Clausius-Clapeyron form.
Yes.
Still it is for evaporation only, right?
Right.
I think you can write the same equation for solid to vapor. There, what you have to use, heat of sublimation. In place of heat of evaporation or fusion, it will be heat of sublimation. Clear?
Followed.
Is there any doubts?
So, sir, I had one doubt. This delta
Yes.
He, delta HF, are these latent energies, like latent heat energy?
Yes, it is latent heat only. Yes.
Okay. So we can also use this equation to calculate the latent heat of say fusion or melt, evaporation.
Actually, that enthalpy change associated with the phase change is equal to latent heat.
Okay.
Oh.
We can also use it for that purpose, no?
Right.
All right.
I think equation number 9 and 10 is very familiar to you because we have already done it 3-4 slides back. So I am not discussing anything about these two equations. If anyone having doubt, you can ask.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir, no doubts. Then go to the next slide. What is done here? The same integration, ln P2 upon P1 is equal to delta He upon R 1 upon T2 minus 1 upon T1 with the negative sign. Same equation is written here. Only thing is, in place of writing P2 and P1, it is just ln pressure is equal to delta He upon RT plus I. What is I here?
Constant of integration.
Constant of integration. So this equation, in place of writing it in logarithmic form, we can also write it in the exponential form. If we substitute in place of I, exponential I, or just write P0 there.
Right.
So what you will get?
T is equal to P0 exponential.
P is equal to P0 exponential minus delta He upon RT. So this is the pressure in terms of temperature.
Yes.
Pressure temperature relationship.
Yes.
Now delta He is clearly mentioned here, latent heat of vaporization. I hope it clarifies your doubts. Okay. Now this equation is a general theoretical equation. It needs to be modified with some constants for practical applications.
Okay.
So equation 11 is applicable on very small temperature range. For extending the validity of temperature dependence of delta HT must be taken into account. In this equation, what is done?
Why?
Delta H is not considered as a function of temperature.
Okay.
So it works for small temperature range, but actually delta H also changes with the temperature in practical applications.
Right.
So if we have to consider the temperature dependence of delta H, then this equation need to be
Modified.
it need to be written with some of the constants, and it need to be expanded. The exponential function need to be expanded by a series.
Okay.
Okay. Exponential series, I hope you have studied.
Yes, sir.
Exponential x is equal to 1 plus
1 by x plus.
X.
right. So that type of series need to be expanded. You go to the next slide. In this slide, what is done? Careful evaluation of thermodynamic data has revealed that vapor pressure of liquid aluminium is given by this expression. This is pressure versus temperature equation. Okay. Equation number 12. This is from experimental data fitting. The previous equation was from Clapeyron equation, equation number 11. Equation number 12 is only for aluminium. If we are changing the material, in place of aluminium, if we are putting silver, this equation will not work. But the previous equation,
Was it the
11,
form?
was a general equation. Yes, that is what I want to tell you. Now, pressure temperature relationship, which is developed from Clapeyron equation, if we consider delta H temperature dependence for individual elements, then the same equation can work for larger range of temperature. This data, why it is important? I hope you understand this now. It can be helpful in finding out how much heat energy is required to deposit this material under vacuum conditions. This question can be answered by this data.
Hmm.
And that question is a higher level question, not of your level. Okay?
Yes, sir.
But why are
Any
we
doubts now?
terming this as vapor pressure? I didn't.
Why we are?
The title of the slide is saying vapor pressure of the elements. But how is this equation leading to vapor pressure?
This vapor pressure of the elements, actually it helps us in finding out vapor pressure at a given temperature. You can see the figure. On x-axis, what is the temperature? Temperature varies from 500 Kelvin to 4000 Kelvin.
Okay, all right, follow.
And pressure changes from 10 raised to minus 2, 10 raised to 0. Okay, pressure changes from 0 to 10 raised to minus 10 torr.
Yes.
So this temperature and pressure data is plotted in this graph. And this pressure is actually vapor pressure. What is the vapor pressure of iron piece kept in open atmosphere? What is its vapor pressure?
1 atmosphere.
Open atmosphere iron piece, any iron box, if I keep in open atmosphere, what is the vapor pressure of iron?
1 atmosphere, I think.
No, it is not right answer.
Okay.
Anyone else want to try?
Sir, it depends on the height.
No, actually the solid material, if it is a solid material like iron piece I told you, its vapor pressure will be 0 in open atmosphere because it is not in vapor form.
Oh,
Clear?
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, if I keep the same piece of material inside a vacuum chamber without changing the pressure inside, its vapor pressure will be 0.
Yeah. So you
But
are
if
not
I-
asking advanced pressure.
Yes, but if I create a vacuum of 10 raised to minus 10 and I don't heat that material, then what will happen to its vapor pressure? At room temperature, its vapor pressure will again be 0 only because I don't think any atom will leave the surface and go in vapor state without heating.
Yeah.
Okay, once we start heating it, some of the atoms will leave that surface and go into the chamber environment. So its vapor pressure of iron will start increasing. What pressure we need to deposit the thin film?
10 to power minus 3 torr.
Right. So that pressure will be achieved at certain temperature.
Okay.
And that temperature will be achieved by giving some electrical energy into the system.
And that, which temperature is it? We can calculate using this equation.
Right. We can calculate from this diagram what is the temperature for what vapor pressure. I hope you understood why the title was given like that.
Yes, sir. Understood.
I hope all the connections are clear to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, this slide is not part of your examination. It is an example slide where you can understand that higher level applications of Clausius-Clapeyron equation. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now go to the next slide. It is same data in another manner. The previous data which you have seen was having x-axis value as 10 raised to 4 upon T. It was inverse temperature relation. This data is having direct temperature value on the x-axis for different elements. The previous slide was for metals. This slide is also including semiconductors. So like that, all the experimental data for different materials with respect to temperature, what is its vapor pressure, has been accumulated by different scientists of the world and it is plotted. Okay. So they have done lots of work behind it for showing that purpose, for serving that purpose, that various scientists have worked a lot to collect all this data. These slides are kept here. Now go to the next slide. Just like we have developed a relation for enthalpy, we can also develop relations for internal energy, entropy, specific heat at constant volume, and specific heat at constant pressure. These are other parameters which we can derive by using Maxwell's relation. Okay. So here we are going to discuss about general relations for internal energy, entropy. Enthalpy is also mentioned here, but we already discussed that. Entropy and specific heat at constant volume and specific heat at constant pressure. The first one is internal energy. So the change in internal energy, enthalpy, entropy of a simple compressible substance can be expressed in terms of pressure, volume, temperature, and specific heats. So specific heat need to be included here actually to express internal energy. Now this expression du
Curly U by curly T dt plus
equal, right? So this expression is exact differential of internal energy in terms of temperature and volume, right? Now you know that the definition of specific heat at constant volume is rate of change of internal energy with respect to temperature at constant volume, correct? So that you can substitute here in this expression, you will get du is equal to Cv dt plus del u upon del v
dV.
at constant temperature into dV. I think there is no problem in going up to this expression. Go to the next slide then. How to evaluate del U upon del V at constant temperature in terms of pressure, volume, temperature only. For doing that, let us consider entropy as a function of temperature and volume. So if entropy is a, yes?
We are left with 10 minutes in this meeting again. There is a 40-minute time limit. So
okay, if time gets over, then you can restart.
yes, sir, I will be able to.
Okay, if time gets over, you can restart. I will wait for that. Okay, I think there are only few slides remaining. 3 slides are there. And if you understand everything logically, then we will finish within 10 minutes. Okay. So here what we have taken as entropy as a function of temperature and volume. Again, we have written it in terms of exact differentiation. And then in the expression for du, which was in the previous slide,
We have
CVD.
for ds.
Yes, what we have done?
We have substituted the expression for ds as curly s by curly t dt plus curly s by curly v dt.
It is in the expression which we get from combining second law and first law of thermodynamics. Okay, it was TdS there, right? TdS minus PdV.
Yes.
So in place of ds, it is substituted from here. Now further solving, you are getting an expression for du. Now compare these two du, this du and previous du, right?
Yes.
By comparing, you will get specific heat at constant volume is equal to T into del S upon del T at constant volume, or you can also say that del S upon del T at constant volume is equal to Cv by T.
Yes.
So now if this is the result, then what is the value of del U upon del V
T
at
into
T?
by curly v minus p.
Right. So this is the value of del U by, that is by comparison we are getting, right? Now go to the next slide. Using one of the Maxwell's relation, we know del S upon del V at constant T is equal to del P upon del T at constant V. If we substitute that, we can write del U upon del V at constant T in terms of only temperature, pressure,
Yeah,
and volume at constant volume, right? So that is how we proved that change in internal energy with respect to volume can be written only in terms of PVT and no need of any extra terms by using Maxwell's relation.
Okay.
And then there is an example. I think you can work out this example yourself. If there is any doubt, we can discuss in the next class.
Okay. All right, sir.
Everyone agrees to that?
Okay, sir.
If you have any doubts, you can also talk to me on WhatsApp. You just send me the figure and you can ask your questions.
Okay, sir.
The example and its complete solution is given in these 2 slides. Okay.
Yes.
This example is also important. You should practice it because it may be asked in examinations also.
Okay. We'll keep that in mind.
I hope it is over and clear also. I also hope that you understood the derivation of Clausius-Clapeyron equation and also its application.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So in next class will be on hanging chain oscillations you have talked about. I think Slok has asked about hanging chain oscillations, right?
Bessel functions also.
Sir,
Yes. Slok.
Oh, there's a
no, sir, my doubt was clear at that time. So,
Your doubt was clear. Okay, fine. So if you wish, we can have 2 lectures on mathematical physics. You may decide your convenient date and time. Mathematical physics, we will start with the first topic, that is wave equation and its derivation. Once it is clear to you, then hanging chain part will be more clear. Actually, hanging chain part is complex because of the Bessel's function. Bessel's function are not there in your syllabus, but that is used to solve the problem of hanging chain.
So, sir, we will still need to understand them, no, to understand the topic.
Okay, you can revise the lecture slides which I have shared, and if you have doubts, then we'll conduct the online classes.
Start
Okay.
with the wave equation, then we'll see about how to.
Okay, fine. So we'll start with wave equation, maybe on Wednesday or Thursday, tomorrow or day after tomorrow, whichever is convenient to you.
Okay, sir. We'll let you.
okay, sir.
Okay, sir. No problem.
Okay, fine. That's all for today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.